Greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to episode 141 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Pod. This is your host, Rick Verbanis, and as always, I am joined by some would say, the best gosh darn co-host out there, and that is Mr. Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, I was born in that house, and you know what? I intend to die there. Oh, I don't live there anymore, but that's where I'm going to die. Die in the house where I was born. Sort of a dream of mine. So whenever I'm feeling a little sick, I just come down here, just in case. Right now, I've got a bit of a cold, but it could escalate.
Rick has gone off the deep end, folks. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Bob.
I don't know.
Did you ever watch Kids in the Hall?
I have watched on occasion Kids in the Hall. Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Was it the Canadian?
Oh, yeah. It was the Lorne Michaels show that was put together in the early 90s. Lorne Michaels from Saturday Night Live, he put together this skit show with these five guys called Kids in the Hall from Canada. And my favorite, the one I tend to relate to the most is
tell me it's the nose hair one.
Yeah, well, it's that actor. Yeah, it's David Foley.
Okay.
David Foley.
Okay.
And so you may be wondering why is my hello to you today a quote from David Foley? That's because today we have a Foley in the house. We're gonna be having on board for our Nightcap series. We're gonna have Mr. James Foley, and this is actually going to mark his third time on the show. It's a little bit of a hat trick going on, Bob.
Ooh, nice sports reference. Yeah, go.
Oh, you got the sports reference? Holy crap! You even said goal.
Well, I was 50-50. I figure it was either a sports reference or it had to do with a rabbit and a magician. So I wasn't sure. So
well, you couldn't go wrong either one.
But
yeah,
you gotta love. Do you remember the nose hair one?
Oh, was that when he was on the airplane?
On the airplane with the nose hair trimmer, and he starts trimming his nose hair. But then it starts growing faster and faster and faster and faster.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I didn't really, that really, you get that and appreciate it more the older you get. Right? Am I right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Unless you have
it hits differently in your 50s than it did back in your 20s.
Unless you're follically challenged like me and you don't have to worry about his hair as much. But David Foley, I always loved him. He was dry, which is my sense of humor. And he was like the short, cute guy, which I used to be. Now I'm just short.
I can't picture it, but okay.
Yeah. And I had hair like that and stuff like that. And did you ever watch the show News Radio?
I did not.
Oh, that is such a good show. They did like 4 or 5 seasons, and fantastic cast. He was the lead, and it was about a radio station, a news talk radio station in New York. I think it was Newark. I could be getting my cities wrong, but anyway, he was the manager that they brought in from like the Midwest area. And he took over, and the cast was amazing. One of the on-air personalities was played by, oh gosh, I can't remember the name. He was from Saturday Night Live, and he played Bill McNeil, and he was absolutely fantastic.
Was it Phil Hartman?
Yes, totally. It was Phil Hartman.
God bless his soul.
100%. Yeah. He actually was killed while I think in the 4th season, and then the last season they brought in John Lovitz as somebody, and it just wasn't the same.
Yeah,
but
he was just acting.
Yes, and there was gosh, was it Andy Dickman?
Hey, family show.
Oh, sorry. And then Taya something, she was the romantic interest lead on the show, and then she ended up being on some dramatic doctor show. and I had a little bit of a crush on
I
her.
think I do remember her.
Yeah.
Yeah. That name
Yeah.
rings a bell.
Yeah. So
So,
that was like early 90s.
huh.
Anyway, so David Foley. Gotta love David Foley. Now I could have gone some other routes here. I was like, should I go with the I don't know. The WWE guy, Mick Foley? You know him, right? Or are you a wrestling fan? Do you like wrestling?
I haven't watched wrestling since ever. No, I do remember a little bit of wrestling when I was a kid. I was trying to think, there were these two very large like wrestler dudes, like they're from Appalachia or
Well,
something.
yeah, that's great, man. Way to narrow that down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all wrestlers. Is that what you're saying? Well, I don't
Uh-huh.
know, but I just remember they were like the Hillbilly Twins, or
So here, oh gosh, I
I
remember
haven't
them.
watched it
Yeah,
for
my mom
years.
watched wrestling, and that was her guilty pleasure. But anyway, there was yeah. So Mick Foley, he's known. All right, here's a quote. I could have started with this. This could have been my opening to you, Bob. If God built me a ladder to heaven, I would climb it and elbow drop the world.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Isn't it?
That should be on a card.
I think to some people it is. Or I could have done an Axel Foley quotes, from Beverly Hills
Mhm.
Cop.
Right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of choices. But
Yeah.
I went with David Foley.
Yeah. Well, good choice. Good choice. Who doesn't like a little humor in their lives?
I know I do.
Right. Yeah.
So what's been going on with you, Bob? We haven't talked in a week.
It has been a week, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lot going on, right?
I'm asking
No,
you, Bob.
not
This is the
really.
part where
Not really.
you
Not really. Not a lot going on.
okay.
Work, starting classes again, leading field trips, doing work. I did
You have
get some
class
good.
again? That's great.
I got class again. Yeah, it's a struggle to maintain class.
Mm-hmm.
But back at it, and do normal stuff. Gonna get into woodworking.
Okay.
Yeah. So my wife has an aunt who was not recently, married like 5 years ago. But anyway, they're getting on in years. And Ted, who I love, we introduced the two of them, has all these woodworking tools. He actually built his own boat, a sailboat.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's not.
Would you get in it?
I would. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. But
Because I have a lot of relatives. If they build a boat, there's no way in hell I'm getting
right.
it.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty sweet looking deal. And anyway, he's at the point in his life where he wants to he's got to get rid of these woodworking tools. And he's like, you want them? And at first I was like, yeah, I mean, I could, I got some room on the shelf to put a hammer, maybe a couple screwdrivers. And he's like, all right, well, you're going to need to get a truck. So I'm pretty excited about that. Actually, I always wanted to get into that. So
you always wanted to build wood.
Yeah, build wood. Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah,
I think God does a pretty good job all by himself. But
yeah, well,
whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna improve upon it, Rick.
That's always a good thing.
I'm gonna make you a three-legged
put that
stool
out into the world. I can improve on what God did.
I'm gonna make you a three-legged stool, or maybe one of those ottomans you put your feet on, something like that. Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, you're getting up there, so I mean, it's gonna feel good. Put those feet up, right?
That would be very nice. Actually, now that you say that, I was visiting my mom's this past weekend, and I saw in her garage the little wooden bench. It's like a step stool, right?
Yeah.
But it looked like a bench, and really, it couldn't have been more than a foot long. Okay, and maybe 8 inches off the ground. It was made for a little person who needed to reach things.
Like an Oompa Loompa?
Or a child. Either one. I don't know what lives in your house.
That would have been my second guess. Yeah.
Okay. And so I was in the garage. I was like, oh my God, there's the old wooden step stool that I had when I was a child. I mean, it's got to be like 50 years old. And now my mom uses it to reach the hose.
Oh, nice. Nice. Well, that's nice. So you can't take it.
Mm,
You wouldn't be able to get
I'm
those
just counting
clothes.
the days.
Yeah. Yeah. They get that back. Finally, after all these years, you've been counting your. Hey, did
Yeah.
you get any surprise gifts this week?
You know, nothing really comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe next week.
Actually, I did, Bob. You sent me something in the mail. You sent me a t-shirt that I guess you were too fat for.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it
It was
was
snug. Snug. Yeah. It
yeah.
was. It was a good
Yeah.
deal, though. So, and I love that T-shirt.
It is cool. I
It's a
was very
cool
surprised, and
image.
I am very appreciative of it. It's kind
Oh,
of cool.
good.
So it's I think it's a large or something like that,
It
right?
is. It is.
So
It's
it
a,
might be
but
a little big on
it's
me.
a woman's large, so it'll be fine
Oh,
for you. Yeah.
excellent. Well, I'm a little buxom. So yeah, but it's a really cool shirt. And Megan, my wife, she was looking at it and she's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's a Red Skull t-shirt that is been slashed, and you can see the Captain America uniform underneath it."
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process was
I
either.
don't know either. I'm just basically go around wearing it. People are gonna go be like, huh?
Huh?
Yeah.
But I appreciated the 3D motif of it, right?
Yeah, it really did. It really did have
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
pops a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It looked a lot better online.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of t-shirts, you like the one I'm wearing tonight?
I do. I do like a good Red Skull T-shirt. So
Is there a bad Red Skull t-shirt?
I have an Invisible Woman shirt. So I don't know if you could tell,
I
but it's pretty
do.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, nice.
And for our listeners out there, Bob's just wearing a gray plain t-shirt. Which
It is, but there's a story behind this, Rick.
does it because it really complements your hair.
It does. My
And I'm
wife
not
just
just
gave me a
talking about the
haircut.
nose hair, Bob.
Yeah, thank you. My wife just gave me a little bit of a trim. She's heading out of town tomorrow for a
Your
few
wife
days
gave you
going.
some trim. That
Yeah,
is excellent. I am
yeah.
so glad. I thought we said this was a PG show, Bob.
Back to my shirt, Rick. Thank you. But this was my dad's shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of these
That's
times.
special. That's
Yeah,
nice.
one of these times I went home, my luggage was lost. He's like, "Oh, here, you need some shirts," and he gave me a T-shirt. And so it's actually a little big for me. It's an extra large, and I
Uh-huh.
don't quite fit an extra large, but it's a very old T-shirt, so it's very
Well, you don't
soft.
exactly fit a large either, Bob. We've proven that by
I'm
that
at an
large that
awkward
you sent
age,
me.
Rick. I think you know what that's like. You go through awkward ages. I'm at that one right now.
When
So
it's time to
yeah,
change, it's time to
yeah, right.
rearrange.
Things don't fit right, and things don't work right. So it's usually both of them.
Oh,
So,
it's a double problem. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So Bob, birthdays this week. I was looking at the comic book professionals out there and celebrating a birthday 5 days from now on June 26th is Tom DeFalco.
All right. Happy birthday, Tom. I know
Do you,
you're out there.
do you know who Tom is?
Tom DeFalco? Yeah, the
Yeah,
legendary Tom DeFalco. Rick, who doesn't know?
I'm asking you. Do you know who Tom DeFalco is?
Yeah, of course I know.
Yeah, what's he done?
He's done lots of things.
Yeah, such as?
He's done a lot of comics, man. He's been involved in comics for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really
So,
has. Yeah. What
yeah.
was your favorite, would you say?
I would say, it's hard to say. He's done so many really great ones.
So I'll just pick one.
I don't feel comfortable picking one, Rick. I mean, I don't think that is I don't think that's a respects his legacy, quite frankly.
Well, okay, then just name a couple which you would say would be in his top 10.
Oh, it's hard to even say that, Rick. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, I just don't feel comfortable. I mean, I think he's done a lot of great work. I
Uh-huh.
think he needs to be respected and honored for the work that he does. And I think,
Absolutely.
when we start picking and choosing, it just cheapens the legacy. If you know what I'm
Yeah, it's
saying.
true. Well, what role in the comic book industry would you say he was the best at?
Well, he's filled a lot of them, but I think
Mm-hmm.
he's been an inspiration to a lot of other creators. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
probably the most important role that he's fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Excellent. And which decade do you think it was his better decade that he worked in?
Well, it's hard to say because he's really done a lot of work in the different eras. And that's the funny thing about comics. People argue about modern era, bronze era,
Yeah,
all that sort of thing. I don't even want to think about that. I think it's important to just look at the whole body of work that somebody has done, right? And rather than pick and choose. I mean, a lot of folks in our group, people who like the 90s, people like the 80s, people like the 70s, people like the early 2000s. I say, to each his own.
exactly. I think it's a good philosophy, Bob. And for those people out there who like those certain decades, which one do you think would appeal for Tom DeFalco? Would it be the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s?
Look, Rick, the funny thing
Uh-huh.
it really is what's important to Tom DeFalco,
Oh, okay. That's fair.
right? I mean, that's what
Fair.
matters. I mean, it's his birthday.
Yeah. That's true. And we do wish him a happy birthday. So for those who are listening are completely confused by Bob, uh, Tom DeFalco was Marvel's editor-in-chief for quite some time. And he was also obviously just a plain old editor, and there's nothing plain old, but we love our editors. But, I'm just saying in the hierarchy of editors, there's editor-in-chief of all of Marvel, which he was. In fact, he had one of the longer tenures in Marvel. It was from 1987 to 1994, where he was editor-in-chief. Now, he's also been a writer, Bob, as you so not pointed out.
Yeah.
And he has written a ton of books for many publishers. But for Marvel, that was his main publisher that he worked for. Bob, which Captain America comics do you remember him writing?
I'll tell you, none of them are really ringing a bell for me right now.
That's probably because they're really only one. So
has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. He's really not associated with Captain America, although we have said his name many times when we were going through the credits as an editor. But he did volume 3, number 24 in 1999. That was that one odd issue that was done by Ron Frenz, and it had crossbones and had a very nostalgic looking like 70s style art and the story. It was just a one-shotter that was kind of in between creative teams. But anyway, happy birthday to Mr. Tom DeFalco. Speaking of creators, Bob, do you think we should reveal now who our guest is going to be in episode 143, or do you think we should just kind of wait to the end?
Rick, if I've learned anything in my life,
yeah,
I'm just trying to think if I've learned anything in my life. Nope, there's one thing. If I've learned anything in my life, it's this one thing.
What's that?
Whenever
Bob?
you ask me that question, to say, no, Rick, let's wait till the end of the show.
A little bit of a tease. Yes.
Yeah, right.
You've learned how to, as they say in the biz. Right?
Yeah.
A little bit of a tease. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If I may, that little comment in the biz reminds me of a short little story.
Is this a tangent, Bob?
Yeah, it's a tangent. It's one of these tangents. I took my wife when we were dating home to Massachusetts to meet my family. And of course, we took an opportunity to go out and hang out with some friends of mine. And I don't know if they're listening, because these were some of the friends that I frequented the comic book stores with back in the day, when I was in my middle school, junior high school years. And one of my friends had a lifelong dream of being involved in the movie biz. And so we used to do all kinds of like 8mm movies when I was a kid, and I still have some of those. In fact, I might share one with you at some point. It's called Delta Force. And
I would totally want to
about
see
a
this.
team of elite soldiers dropped behind enemy lines in Yugoslavia, back when Yugoslavia existed. And, we had to take out some bad guys, So a 20-minute feature. So I mean,
how old were you?
This was
how old were you?
Oh, I was like really young. I was probably 19. No, I was it's probably like ninth grade or something like that, right?
All right.
So I had a little bit of salty language in this film. But anyway, we go back to Massachusetts and we hang out with my friends, go to a mutual friend's house. We all gather, dinner, drinks, that sort of stuff. And I'll just never forget my friend who unfortunately went off to Hollywood and tried to make it in the movies. And just, it turned out it wasn't what he wanted. He didn't want to be in Hollywood. So he came back and worked for the local cable company. But no kidding, in a conversation with my wife, he used the phrase "in the biz." And to this day, my wife will bring that up and say, "Hey, remember that time that guy said in the biz?" Yeah. So she uses that phrase now. When she's talking about her work down at the Marco Island City Hall, she'll come home. She's like, "You may not know this, but in the biz, we stamp a lot of paperwork."
Yeah. Very nice.
It's a common phrase in our family now.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad I can, as your work wife, I'm glad I can, or your podcast wife. I don't know what the hell I am.
Yeah. Okay. That was awkward. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when I refer to, I sometimes I'll say, my partner, Bob, and they'll go like, my podcast partner. Not that there's anything wrong with
I should be so lucky, Rick. I should be so lucky. So, if you get any negative comments, I'm sure it's just jealousy.
Yeah. Or, hey, we've already established there's people waiting in the wings for your job.
Right. Sure.
So, all right. Well, speaking of auditions for your job, should we let James Foley out of the green room?
Absolutely. He's been in there eating crackers and M&Ms. We got to get him out here.
He was very peculiar. He was like, no brown M&Ms.
Yeah, I know. I hate when people start to levy those particular caveats in their contract. Yeah,
I know.
It is a bit.
What a pain in the ass.
Prima donna.
All right, let's bring James Foley on the show.
Uma pausa no seu podcast para falar sobre a beleza, essa força poderosa que nos move. No Grupo L'Oréal, nós criamos a beleza com sustentabilidade. Utilizamos em nossas embalagens 85% de plástico PET de origem reciclada. 65% dos ingredientes vieram de base biológica ou derivados de minerais abundantes. Grupo L'Oréal, nós criamos a beleza que move o mundo.
Interrompemos esse podcast para perguntar: quem você quer ser?
Designer, engenheira, pedagoga,
administrador.
Quer saber? O Senac EAD é nota máxima no MEC. Tem cursos de diversas áreas, com conteúdo elaborado por especialistas do mercado e professores mestres e doutores. Ainda tem o Senac Carreiras, conectando estudantes a vagas de emprego em todo o país. Saiba mais em ead.senac.br/graduação.
Hi, James.
Hi, Rick.
And Bob. Yes.
Well, he said hello to me. I was going to give you a minute.
I guess I know he's been gunning for my job. So
I don't know what you were talking about. And it was no red M&Ms, not brown. I don't know where you read it. No red ones.
Okay.
Carcinogens.
So,
yeah.
So here's a funny story about that. I heard a story. James actually wrote out a note that says tangent on it. And so what are you going to do? You're just going to hold that up every time we go on a tangent?
It's the whole podcast episode. What are you talking about, Rick?
Just tape it right now to your camera.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I don't know if anybody's heard this story, but John Bon Jovi, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's in a band.
Once or twice.
I thought he ran a restaurant.
Yeah, that was Bojangles.
Oh,
no, but John Bon Jovi. Do you know what band he's in?
Van Halen.
Bon Jovi.
Oh, yeah,
that was like a trick question.
It makes sense.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Living on a prayer. Hello.
Slippery when wet.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, this is a family show.
Right.
It's a title to a CD. I don't know what you're talking about.
I actually went to that concert that Slippery went tour. Yeah. I was invited. Cinderella opened for them. I've never seen so much
Cinderella.
makeup.
I think I was in elementary school.
Never saw so much makeup in my life.
Yeah.
It was really cool. John Bon Jovi came down on a high wire trapeze over the audience and landed on the stage. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I gotta give him props.
I wasn't a big fan. I mean, I like one or two of their songs, but somebody is like, "Hey, you want to come to the show with me and free ticket?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
I do like a good Bon Jovi song.
So John Bon Jovi, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this is true. He used to make requests for his room, whenever he did a show, and then in the room he wanted a bowl of M&Ms without any brown M&Ms, none of the brown ones. And so for the longest time, people were just like you, Bob. They're like, this guy's a prima donna, blah, 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 blah. It turns out during an interview, someone brought it up and he revealed why he did it. He said, if I go into my room and I see the bowl of M&Ms and there are no brown M&Ms in there, I know everything else is going to be perfect. Somebody has that level of attention to detail, then I don't have to worry about anything else. That was my way of testing their level of detail.
Okay.
So James, were you testing our level of detail with the red M&Ms? Is that
I want what I want on my rider. I only get to come on here once a year. I got to make the most out of it.
That's right. And and this is
I made the comment before. I'm aiming for the 5-timer club. Then when you got to do Matt Foley for that intro, hello.
What James, if let's just say you were in a similar position as John Bon Jovi,
sure,
what would be the thing that you would put on your rider for your hotel room?
French vanilla for my coffee.
French vanilla for your coffee, like a creamer?
Vanilla.
Or
yep, French vanilla creamer.
All right. Okay. All right.
Rick,
what about you?
What's her name?
So I stayed in a
bonjour French vanilla.
One of my trips when I was teaching for the Navy, I got sent to Rhode Island and teach for a month. And I'd asked them about getting some French vanilla for the room. So they actually sent me up one of the giant jugs that you would have for the downstairs.
I like giant
craft
jugs.
area. Yep. It had the pump so that you could sit there and it would stay up there. They gave me a month's worth of creamer in one shot.
Little known fact that cost the Navy $10,000.
Probably not. Sending me up there? Maybe so. Not the jug of French vanilla. That was just points off of my thing.
Rick, what about you,
jugs.
man? What would you put on your rider for a hotel room?
That's a great question, Bob. I don't have an answer. I don't know. Make sure that the remote for the toilet seat works. I like a fresh bowl.
Okay. You stay in different hotel rooms than I have. I haven't
That's
had
an Ally McBeal quote for.
Oh, is it?
Because God knows I know our audience so well.
Ally McBeal.
Absolutely.
Ally McBeal quote.
Okay.
They're like, oh, sure. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Not a chance.
Nice.
Let's hear it, Bob. What's your rider?
I think it would have to be a bag of Boulder Canyon avocado oil potato chips.
You mentioned these before.
Yeah, and like a couple stout beers, maybe Guinness or whatever. But
what are we having, a party here? Like, how many alcoholic beverages do you want, Bob?
Well, it depends. It really depends on the day, right? So I'd like to have that nice bowl of chips with a little bit of a nice beer at the end of the day. So if I was going to put something on my rider in my hotel, that's what I'd want.
Yeah, but how can you tell if they're being actually very precise? I mean, that's a simple request.
Well, I'm not a demanding person like you, Rick. I don't need a remote control for my toilet seat, right? No? I just want a bowl of chips and a beer at the end of the day.
Do you know how many people sat on that toilet seat, Bob?
Yeah.
Dude, when you're in a hotel room,
yeah,
are you one of those crazy people that walks around in bare feet, or you're like, God, no, I gotta have flip-flops on because this has got to be the most disgusting carpet ever?
Rick, you have no idea of the places I've stayed. My wife and I were just the other day talking about Eco Lodge that we stayed at in Lai Chau province in Vietnam.
Uh-huh.
And all the wildlife was in the room. my wife still talks about that was the biggest spider I have ever seen.
How big? No, I don't want to know.
Yeah, it was quite large.
I don't want
right?
to. I don't want to.
So yeah. Yeah. And my driver had taken off with my car. So he went home to like visit his family. And like, so we're stuck there at the Eco Lodge. So,
yeah, you pay for what you get.
Slightly soiled carpets and other asses on toilet seat. I can deal with that. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
That's with quads like these, buddy. I just squat without actually touching. Feel the burn.
I just thought you just magically hovered.
This one's going down to the record books.
James, aren't you glad you're here?
Very thrilled. Been looking forward to it all month.
So speaking of Bob's stout request, this is a nightcap series, and
Yes, sir.
and for those who aren't familiar with this, we did this is our second one. I'm sure James was upset he wasn't on the first one, but that's how it is.
I can't be first every time.
That's right. Well, we know you're second on the list of.
I was the second patron, first iTunes review, 720th person into the.
Why couldn't you
Facebook
be the
group.
first patron? I mean, what happened? What went wrong
Yes,
there?
and the other guy got it before me. I did it the first day.
Wow. I don't know, man.
I'm hoping I'm the first super soldier, but probably not.
You are by far. You are the first super soldier, and so yeah. So let's talk about this. The nightcap series is something. I don't know. I had this little idea of having a way to bring our super soldiers on, because if you're a super soldier patron, which is the highest you can be, you get to, one of the perks is you get to be on the show once a year, and so I was like, well, how are we going to do this? Let's make it fun. Let's make a theme. The marketing guy in me, and so I was like, let's do a nightcap series. And nightcap, traditionally is a little adult beverage at the end of the evening, to kind of wind down the day. And since we record at night, we figured we'd do that. Now, not everybody likes to indulge in that. Some people want to do a soft drink, which is completely fine. Whatever is your beverage of choice to wind down the evening. And that's kind of where we start this particular show. But I do want to give credit where credit is due. So James here, and can I call you Jimmy? Okay.
We'll probably get into it, but my family is lazy and recycles James like you would not believe.
How many James are there?
I think I'm over 10.
Oh, wow.
Great grandfather, great uncle, his son's son, uncle, his kid, me, and then a couple other cousins.
See, that's why I'm glad to have a name that is super unique.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
When they did my security clearance, I had to explain, look at the dates and socials, because that guy with a felony wasn't me. Just saying.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't get to pick your family, brother.
Oh God, don't get me started. Yeah, Bob, you do. You have that unique name. It's so unique you could spell it either way, backwards, frontwards. It's all the same.
Yeah, yeah.
But I actually had a tangent there. I wanted to.
Oh,
but
Jimmy?
I lost it. I lost
From
it.
the Jimmy?
No, it was something you were saying, James.
The family?
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
it
doesn't matter.
Banana? No.
But I didn't interrupt, so I didn't want to be rude.
I'm sorry.
And now I've lost it. Anyway, so James has been a patron of the show. Get this, Bob. Ready?
Yeah.
May 5th, 2021.
Wow.
I know.
That has to be.
It's right over 2 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, that's not long after we started the show. We started like our first recording in December.
December of 2020.
20, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was shortly after I think we did the challenge coin.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it was shortly right after we did challenge. To give you an idea of how long ago that was, episode 32 came out the same day.
Wow.
I know. So I'm just going to give you right now. We're not worthy.
Oh,
Thank you, James. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it. Really means a lot.
Least I could do.
No, it's Bob's line.
It's a military thing.
Hold on a second. Yeah. Just draw my bath. Yeah. Yeah, we're using your money in very, very, very just for the show. So
It's fine.
But one of the ways that we're using James' money is we are giving away the Captain America Taco Bell exclusive edition. That
exclusive collector's edition.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We're giving this away to, if you go on to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review and leave us a message there, right? Once we get to 3 people who to do this, one of those 3 is going to win this comic.
Just get to 3.
Well, listen, we're up to 58. We have 58 people who have done this.
Yeah.
57 gave us a 5-star review. One person gave us a 1-star review.
And we'll never forgive him.
That's right. It's just so freaking hilarious. That's it. I'm giving you a 1-star review. But anyway. So we've had a lot of reviews. It's just been a little while. Now we got 1. So we need 2 more. And once we get those 3, one of those 3, we're going to reach in, randomly pick one of these people, and they're going to win this comic. So those are some of the things.
And if I'm not mistaken, Rick, Scott Koblish, when we talked to him, said that was the most rewarding comic that he's ever drawn.
He did? I don't remember that.
Well, that might have just been in my head, but anyway.
Okay, that was episode 139 for those of you who haven't. Yeah. So James, tell us, what episodes have you been on this show? You've been on 2 other ones. What were they?
Episode 25.
Yes. Now that was when we talked about the Captain storyline.
Yeah. All of it in one episode.
It really was. That inspired us. That inspired us to go ahead and go through the issues 327 through 350. Right. Now we did that over the course of many episodes.
Yes,
but for somehow, some way, if someone wants just a high level overview of the Captain storyline, listen to episode 25.
It also inspired us to start drinking, so we could say that the road to the Captain led us here tonight.
That's true.
Absolutely.
That's true. And what was the other episode?
Episode 96, because it was my favorite one of that series. And I asked you if I could come on and talk about those episodes. It ended up being 342 through 344.
No. If it was episode 96, that would not be the case. That would be episode 92.
Okay. I'm off by numbers then.
Okay. So which number are you off by? Are you off by the issue numbers? Or this?
It was issues 344 words.
Okay.
342, 343, 344.
All right. So that's episode 92.
Okay. I'm sorry.
All right. That's all right. We'll let it slide.
Different time zone. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
okay.
Yes. I'm not listed on the thing, so I may have missed it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We purposely left you off because it was, it would have been like
the road to the Captain.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's get to the beverages of choice. We'll start with our guest, James. What are you drinking, and what are you drinking it out of?
I have my Team Captain America or Team Iron Man Civil War tumbler. Obviously
Very
drinking
nice.
from the Team Cap side.
Okay.
And then
I could tell because of the lipstick.
Thank you. And then I was in the Navy. And then Bacardi 2 Fingers and Cheerwine.
What's Cheerwine?
Cheerwine?
Yay!
I don't
Go
know what
team.
cheerwine is.
What is that? Cheer
It
wine.
is a cherry soda.
Cherry soda.
Like a cola, like a
Both-
cherry cola?
Right. It's mostly found in the South. Bojangles sells it, and
Here you go.
Mr.
it's
Bojangles.
Wow, cheer wine.
but it's yeah, it's just a cherry soda. I believe it's done by Pepsi, but just for bottling.
Okay. And you said 2 fingers of what?
Bacardi
Bacardi
Superior, just a regular white rum. Yeah.
Rum and
Nice.
Coke.
It's a naval
basically.
tradition.
It's a
Kinda.
rum and a cherry Coke.
But yeah, yes.
Eh,
like the
oh,
pirates
very nice.
drank.
Yeah, it's really
good for you.
cool. I do like the umbrella. I think that's a nice touch.
I think it's called a parasol, but whatever.
Oh, okay. What are you drinking, Bob?
Well, I am having, normally I would drink my Jameson's orange whiskey.
The 2 finger. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you mentioned
well,
that last time. Yeah.
2, 3, something like that. But
Uh-huh.
tonight I popped open a bottle of limoncello.
Oh,
So
God.
I've had it in the fridge for a long time, and I was like, why did I buy that?
Since when? It came out in the 90s?
No, limoncello's been around a long, long time, right? I used to make it. I made limoncello, and so
Why do I
when it gets
picture like Lucille Ball stomping on grapes?
No, when you're down here in Florida, and it's hot as Hades, you're like sitting out on the lanai with a limoncello, right? So it's easy to make, by the way. If anybody's interested, just drop me a line and I'll be happy to tell you how to make it. But
Nice.
I'm having a little limoncello tonight in my Geek Tiki Captain America tumbler.
Oh, hold on. All right. Well, hold on. We'll take a picture here in a second.
Yeah,
but
this
that
is
is
world
nice.
premiere.
I like that. Very, very nice. You little tiki. I'm not taking it yet. I don't have mine
Oh,
up. Just
all
kidding. I
right.
gotta get to it.
All right.
It's not all about you. All right.
So it's refreshing. And I'm
I would
getting my
imagine.
vitamin C, so no scurvy for me. Yeah, limeys.
Very nice.
Yeah. So and Rick, what are you having tonight?
Well, Bob, I'm gonna have my normal.
Huh?
I don't change things up very often.
Yeah.
I am having my vodka.
Metamucil?
Yes, exactly. I have my vodka with some cranberry, lime, and seltzer.
Yeah.
And so is basically a Cape Cod Fritz. It's a Cape Cod Spritz. And I almost went like a German soldier.
I know, you got your Red Skull shirt on, you're fritzing it out over there.
It is excellent. Anyway, and I'm drinking it out of my Captain America tumbler that my daughter bought me.
Very
So,
nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
all right, guys, hold on. Let me see if I can get my camera here going. All right. So there we go. All right. Now give a big smile. All right. Think that'll work. Cheers. Yeah. Cheers to James.
All right. Welcome aboard, James.
Ding, ding. All right. So James, we have a few questions for you.
Sir.
All right. So as a member of the group and being on here the Nightcap series, we have a certain amount of questions we like to ask. Okay, what was your first Cap comic?
So I thought about this one pretty extensively. I know I got random books here and there, but the first one that really started the collection would be.
And he's turning around, picking it off of his spinner rack. Nice.
Captain America 339, Fall of the Mutants tie-in. And this is the original one from my collection.
Now, is that the first Kieran Dwyer?
You asked me that last time, and I thought we figured out it was. At the time, I didn't know that, obviously. But I believe
you still
so.
don't, apparently. All right.
Well,
excellent.
He did it. I know that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know he did it as well. It's kind of how I said that.
Yes, sir.
Rick, you gotta realize something here, James. Rick does like he only asks questions that he knows the answers to.
Oh,
So yeah.
Oh,
so you know.
wait. What issue? What number is it?
339.
Okay. Well, according to Wikipedia, Kieran Dwyer did Captain America 338
Okay.
to 367.
So no.
All right. There you go, Bob.
All right.
Even I could be wrong.
So James,
Can we mark this one in history? Can we get a point?
yeah.
All right.
But-
So
Yes, Bob.
wait, hold on though. Hold
All
on.
right.
I do get partial credit. Partial credit, okay?
Yes,
You ready
sir.
for this?
Okay.
339 was the second Kieran Dwyer comic.
Right. First
Thank you
cover,
very
maybe?
much.
Okay.
No, it was Ron Friends and Bob McLeod.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, go
All
ahead,
right.
Bob.
I wanted to ask James because, all right, that was your first Captain America comic, but was that your
That was
first
my first
comic?
No, absolutely not. First comic was Flash, up on a wall with done by George Perez, had Atomic Skull and Firestorm in it. I know that one for a fact.
It's
That
all
was
cool.
like my first.
Yeah, that's all Greek to me. Atomic Skull, Fire Flash,
Yeah, it's
Firefly.
fine. It's distinguished competition, and it had some characters in there that I wanted to know from the toy line.
What toy line
Well, that would be the
Um,
Flash toy line, Bob.
was that? Was that when you were into toys when you were the kid? Is that what got you into comics?
Well, yeah. We want to get into some of those conversations. The big thing for me was obviously starting out with Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends, and then the Super Friends cartoons was the first thing that really got me into comics. And then getting into the toy lines that came out probably a couple of years after that. They did a Secret Wars toy line.
That was fun. Yeah.
And then they had the Superpowers was the corresponding one for DC. That came out about the same time. And there were a lot of characters in there. I had no idea who they were. So what got me into comics was having these toys my mom would buy and not knowing anything about those characters. So I'd buy the comic books if they were on the cover to learn who they were.
My wife buys a lot of toys. I couldn't do
Really,
it.
Bob?
I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I failed that one. I couldn't. I wanted to go down that road, but I just can't do it because I'm afraid. I'm
well,
definitely
maybe,
afraid.
yeah, maybe she'll coax you. Maybe.
Yeah, but I'd give anything to like go back in time, right? To have those toys, those toy lines, and
speaking of the Marvel Superhero Secret Wars toy line.
There it is.
Oh,
There it
James
is.
is showing the cap with
Yep.
the shield. Yeah, I had that. I had Cap. I did. I had him. I had probably like maybe half a dozen. I had like Iron Man, Wolverine, Doc Ock, Baron Zemo, who I had no idea who he was at the time.
Same thing. Yep.
And maybe Doctor Doom,
Probably.
which was disappointing because he didn't have a cape.
No, but he had the hole in the back to put his rifle.
I forgot
his
about
backpack.
that. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
him sealed in the box over there.
Oh,
You really?
that's how
Wow.
that's how Bob was. Bob was always the case. He never played with any of his toys, which explains
Oh,
a
no,
lot of
I played
things.
with-
That's
That's
not
something I
true.
found
I
long
had
after
the
the
entire Planet of the Apes treehouse set in 1976, maybe 75. I don't know. I can't remember. And I played the shit out of that.
Did you now?
Sorry, delayed
That's all
delayed
right.
response on that.
You know,
I
Bob,
love that. I wish.
don't know.
I wish to
I don't-
God I had that still.
I don't know if you know this, Bob, but Soil and Green is people.
Yeah, it is. I do because I ask my class that every semester.
I want to take one of your classes so bad.
Oh,
So one of the things I put in my notes I sent you guys, favorite Christmas ever. After the Superpowers line had ended, Kmart. I know I'm dating myself a little bit there, but Kmart actually had them the Superpowers line for $1 a figure,
oh my God.
and then like the vehicles and stuff for $5, maybe $6.
Wow.
And Mom and Dad worked in restaurants. We didn't have a whole lot of budget and stuff like that, so it was such a cool thing that they were actually able to buy a lot of those, and that was the entire Christmas was just everything from the Hall of Justice play set to all the figures and stuff like that.
Oh my
That
God.
was a pretty big.
of Justice.
Knew you were going to go there, yes, sir.
I can't help myself.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I had the Batmobile, Supermobile, and just figures, and didn't know who half of these people were. No idea who Darkseid was. Never heard of Doctor Fate.
You didn't know
A
who
lot of those.
Desaad or Desaad or whatever the heck his
Desaad, I
name?
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bat. Yep.
Parademons? You didn't know parademons?
Never heard of them. Not until I started buying the comics. So after I got those toys, it would be going to the store. And what I kind of wanted to talk about was how my collection had grown and stuff. Being from a small town, North Florida, the other end of Florida than from where you're at, Bob.
Yeah.
We were in a place called Suwannee County, which is just underneath Valdosta, Georgia. It's north of Gainesville, west of Tallahassee. I'm sorry, east of Tallahassee, west of Jacksonville. So
I think what you mean is where nothing is going on.
Right. The Suwannee River and the Okefenokee Swamp.
Yeah.
So, there wasn't anything like a comic book shop or anything like that. And we did not travel. So all of my comic books came from the local 7-Eleven type stores. We called them Jiffies. That was the company. Jiffy stores and
Jiffy Mart.
Just little convenience stores and the random grocery store if they had them on the shelf, that type of things, and then yard sales and flea markets. So if I was going to get any back issues, that's where I was finding those at.
You mentioned that you had to it was a task to convince your mom where to get the gas. So if you would put on your
Wayback Machine,
prepubescent James Foley voice and walk us through that strategizing.
So it was really keeping track of every.
No, he really
week.
wanted you to do the.
Yeah,
voice.
I want you to do the voice.
I'll get there. Well, you gotta understand this, Mom. Captain America's out this week, but it's over at this one on Lee and 90. It's the only one that has Captain America. I gotta go this week to get Cap.
Perfect. Yes, that's what I wanted.
Yeah,
and my mom would have been, you son of a bitch.
I got miles walking, being able to go to some of them if I had to. But, the one that was closest to my house was about a block away, and they carried Avengers. And that was Avengers and Iron Man were the big two that were at that store. But Captain America was halfway across town. What If you remember that title, was the farthest
Never
one
heard
out.
of it.
I got you. But that one was the farthest away out of town. And trying to convince that one was hit or miss. So I missed quite a few of the early issues of the second volume when that came out.
Isn't that how it went? I mean, I think a lot of us were that way. I think a lot of us at a young age would get a comic and we'd be really excited about it. And then it might not be, we might miss a few issues.
Yep.
And then we end up getting another, 3 issues later. And then we get another issue. And then it was like, and then we got a little older and was like, okay, now we're on a back issue hunt, right? We got to fill in those holes. I think that's how a lot of us comic collectors started, right?
I would think so. Again, that was my curiosity is kind of how that grew. So, for me, just those ideas, like a comic book box, no idea what that concept was. Never had even heard of that. It was Avon boxes that Mom would get in and hand me, and I would use those to store my comic books in. Yeah. And then when I outgrew those, the restaurant would get egg crates when they would come in. They were those, you see them at the stores now where it's the flats of eggs, but they came inside a large box that was wax sided. And it was actually really great to be able to put them in there and they would all stand up straight once I would fill one up.
Okay.
And then Dad would bring me home a few of those crates so that I could grow my collection. So that was fun. Being able to go to the yard sales, being able to just find the random issues on the at the flea market and getting super excited because, these are going for $0.25 or these are going for 50 cents. And look how old these are. Rick, I shared with you that one of my, for the longest time, 174 was my oldest Captain America comic, which was from the Secret Empire run.
Yeah, little Steve Englehart action.
Yep, it had the monster throwing Falcon against the console. Didn't know who Falcon was. Had to read that to understand who that was. And then when I opened the book and actually started reading it, seeing that it was from like 1974, which is 2 years before I was even born. thought that was a big deal.
Mm.
And then in the centerfold, you had a spread that was all the X-Men laid out on a table.
Yeah, that is so cool.
And this is the copy. I mean, this is still the one that I got from the flea market, and I know it. One, because it's beat to death, and then two, it's the one I got Sal to sign when he was at a local shop here.
Oh, so cool.
I took the original book that I got from the flea market and took Sal Buscema to get him to give me a story and tell me about it and be able to sign that issue for me.
That's very cool.
That is neat. You know, I was just talking to my wife this weekend about how when I was a kid, I used to.
Is it about
love,
toys again, Bob?
No, this was earlier in the day.
Okay.
And so we were talking about how when I was a kid, I used to love going to the flea market because there was a really big one where I grew up in Massachusetts. In fact, it was across the border in New Hampshire. And we wouldn't go a lot, but we'd go. And I just remember it being like as big as the eye could see. And it was like a real flea market where like people were just selling crap they had, right? Now you go to flea markets and there's just so many folks just peddling stuff that's, you know, straight to market sort of things. And I miss that. I miss that excitement that I felt as a kid going to those sorts of places. And it was just a journey of discovery. You never knew what you were going to find.
Yeah, I agree. I had a lot of fun going to yard sales. You know, not just flea markets, but going around yard sales, things like that. And, you know, it probably, because, you know, when I sold my store back in 2009, I still had that bug. I still had that bug of, I liked to buy and sell comics. And so I did that for probably 10 years after selling my store. And then the original art bug hit me, and now I'm so focused on art as opposed to comics. It's ridiculous. But I used to, during those 10 years after I sold my store, I would go around and just hunt yard sales and just like, hey, you know, do you have any comics? No. And then every once in a while, someone will say, yeah, I got some. Hold on, let me grab a box from inside. And then you just hold your breath and think that like, oh gosh, there's gonna be a key in there somewhere, you know, or whatever. It's the thrill of the hunt, right? It's that the hunt is half the battle. And that's why when I was getting close to finishing my Captain America run, which I got Captain America 100 to current, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do Tales of Suspense 58 through 99. I really started slowing down. I really was like, I don't want the hunt to be over. And I just kind of stopped. And you know, my other love is Daredevil. It's, you know, a distant number 2 to Captain America. Don't listeners, don't get upset with me. So Captain America, I mean, so he's always my number 1, but I have, you know, love Daredevil. I am missing 3 issues of Daredevil from Daredevil 1 to current. And I have yet, and in the last, I don't know, 6 years, I haven't even looked. And it's kind of like, you know, do I really want to complete that? I don't know. The hunt's half the fun, right?
It is. So for me, I've got the one Tales of Suspense left. That first appearance of Red Skull in the Silver Age. And then for me, I've got Depth on the Bench though. So I've still got.
You got, I'm sorry, what? Depth of the what?
Depth on the Bench. More books in line to come up behind it.
Oh, okay.
So once I get every Captain America, I still need 5 Avengers. I still need like 6 Iron Man. I still need about 14 or 15 Thors. And those were all the titles that I was, as a kid, those were the big deals for me. Like, you know, James in his elementary, middle school years, Captain America, Iron Man, Avengers, those were my big books. Those are the ones I had to get every week, every month. So the idea of that I've got so many of these books just absolutely blows my mind sometimes. If I could ever, you know, if I could imagine telling that kid then, hey, you'll get it, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but
you still get
then
the
you're
thrill.
gonna tell them your current age, and they're gonna be like, you're old.
What's still collecting I'll be almost dead.
Yeah.
Still collecting comic books at 47? Are you serious?
No,
What about a girlfriend?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I was talking to my teenage self and I told him, no, I still occasionally get a pimple. I would, my teenage self would be like, oh, I'm killing myself. There's no way at that age. Are you kidding me?
I didn't
Yeah,
think
but he would
that's where
take
you were
one look
going.
at you and see no
I didn't
hair
think
and
that's
flip
where you
out.
were going with that.
Hold on. Let James finish. What?
He'd see you with no hair and probably flip out from that.
Oh,
You've
I
shared that
wouldn't have believed
before.
me. I wouldn't have believed
You've
myself.
shared that.
There's no way. I would have been like, what? No way.
Yeah. What were you saying, Bob? I'm sorry.
Well, I don't even know now, quite honestly. But I would certainly, my collecting would be a lot different if I could go back and talk to myself 40 years ago. What would you say to yourself, James, if you went back 40 years and you could take one of those Pym particle things and zip back in time and talk to your previous self? What collecting advice would you give yourself?
Oh, you're talking. Okay, you're doing MCU. I was thinking Doctor Doom's time slip, but I got you.
All right.
The
Just
time
work with
machine.
me.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
working
stick with
for it.
the
I'm
comics. Thank you, James. Thank you, James. We appreciate you keeping the integrity of this show, which is called Captain America Comic Book Fans.
We'll gloss over the fact that we've had some shows exclusively about MCU.
Yeah, Falcon, Winter Soldier. Those are really good episodes. Either way,
that's okay.
It was like 2 years ago, Bob. All right.
So I made this point in the email a couple of times, and it's one of those things to think about. If you think about when we started collecting comic books compared to how close you would have been to the golden age from then. So I started collecting comics in the 1980s.
Yeah, this is not a nice
and I am
thing.
40 years from the 1940s, like Action 1 and Batman 1 and those type things. And now you go see a kid that's collecting comic books now.
Are there kids who collect comics now?
No,
I met one. I got a story from this weekend you guys will appreciate.
Hold on, where's my tangent sign?
Oh, James is handling it for us. Good. Thank you.
Told you I had that when I was teaching. So I did a comic book swap this weekend. First time I'd ever been to one of those. It was a venue. Some guys in the local area actually got a place to host us, and collectors just brought in a couple of short boxes in to trade and share with each other. So I grabbed a bunch of my doubles and random type things. The other guys are sitting there with CG Seed books and keys and this type stuff, trying to trade Golden Age for Teen Titan #1, stuff like that. Just making big deals. Young man
Curious.
came in.
Sorry, pause. Curious. Which Teen Titans #1? The new Teen Titans by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, or are you talking about the Teen Titans from the 60s? Oh, the 60s. Yeah.
I might have been the guy that got that one.
Nice.
But I've got the other one on a different wall. But the point of this was a little kid was in there, and he was probably 9 years old. He had seen it on Facebook because dad was there with him, and he had 3 current books kind of off the newsstand in the last couple of months. And one of the guys had said something to him about, he was like, hey, I want to see if I could trade some comics. And the guy's like, well, you're probably not going to find anything for that, but good luck. He found my boxes. And he pulled out a X-Men #1 from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about Jim Lee?
Right. Jim Lee, the one with Magneto on it. I mean, it had 5 different covers, but the Magneto one, and I had 2 of them in the box. It was what it was. It's like the most sold comic or second most sold comic ever.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Whatever. So he sat there and he had a copy of Nightwing with a cover with Batman and Spawn on it. And he's like, would I be able to trade for this? And I had that thought. I'm like, son, if you want to trade, I'd be glad to. If you just want the comic, I'd be glad to give it to you if it excites you and gets you into comics. He goes, no, I want to be able to have the trade.
Nice.
Okay. So I gave him the X-Men #1. I said, but this isn't quite fair yet. Hold on. I dug out a Spawn #3, and I dug out a Batman. So he got an X-Men 1, Batman from about 30 years ago. I think Nightfall, one of those, and that Spawn #3. It was extra stuff to me. It was just fodder, but the look on this boy's face, the excitement of being able to sit there and go, I've got these comics. You think I'd have handed him that Teen Titans #1 from the 60s, because that's the way I felt when I got my hands on that.
Good
and it was
for
just
you.
it was just really
That's
cool to be able
awesome.
to do that.
What a great story. Right
That's
there.
awesome. You're a good man. I appreciate it. Cap would be proud of you. That I gotta tell you, back when I had my store, that was by far one of my favorite things was seeing the looks on small kids' faces. I used to have I used to order extra of the free comic book day stuff.
Mhm.
And then I would have a ton extra. And I keep them behind the counter. And I would have all different versions, DC, Marvel, Archie,
Sure.
different heroes and things like that. And then inevitably there would be an adult who came into the store with their kid, but the adult was the person who was there for comics. And the kid maybe didn't get something, or maybe sometimes they did, but a lot of times they didn't because the dad was there, and he was picking up
Yep.
his stuff. And I would say, hey, Susie, who's your favorite superhero? And they would be like, oh, Wonder Woman. And I'd be like, would you like a Wonder Woman comic? And I would pull out, a free comic book day, Wonder Woman something, and I'd give it to her, and the face would light up.
Absolutely.
And I would say to the parents, like, it's okay if I give this to her? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Now, maybe I cultivated some comic fans out of that, maybe some of them, and certainly, listen, it didn't benefit me because I sold my store, and and then eventually it closed down, so it wasn't, but I cultivated interest, you know what I mean, like, and maybe there's some kids out there nowadays who have a lifelong love of comic books because of that, and that makes me smile.
Well, it's just paid it forward. I remember going to the Jiffy store back in the 80s with one of the guys that I had met at the flea market. He had comic books for sale, and we had talked about it. And he actually went up in there and gave me, or bought me, a copy of Iron Man. The first, when he went back to the golden and yellow.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
the golden red. When he gone from that silver and red back to the golden red.
Oh, okay.
After Armor
gotcha.
Wars.
Yeah.
I know I'm dating myself, but it was.
You already said what year you were born. It's okay. The date's gone.
But that's just one I remember, that somebody buying that book for me and just paying it forward. So
Well,
it makes a difference.
You don't have to be a kid, James. Right.
So Bob's asking if you have any comments you want to give him.
Well, I want to say,
hook you up.
we had one of our members in our Facebook group actually recently gave me this.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So just paying it forward. This was a
Absolutely.
comic that his
And
dad,
what is this, Bob, for all the listeners out there who can't see what the hell you're doing?
well, this is Captain America Comics number 30.
From 1940, what?
Yeah, Umpty Frats. I don't know, 44, something like that.
Nice.
So it was a nice gift from somebody who just wanted to do something nice for somebody.
That's a really nice thing. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody?
I don't want to put them on the spot or embarrass them. But I do want to say, obviously, it was hugely appreciated, and we all have that capacity. Maybe not obviously Captain America Comics, but as Captain America fans, and we think, what would Cap do? We all have the capacity to just bring a little joy into each other's lives and spark that joy of comics and joy of Captain America where we can, when we can.
Yeah, you know what, Bob? I think that's absolutely true. And I have to say, whoever gave that to you was certainly very, very thoughtful. I can only imagine what they were thinking about passing me over, but maybe there's something even better coming along the line, considering your efforts on this show.
Some signed books.
You did, yes, and I passed those.
There
along.
you go.
Now
that was a random act of kindness.
It was.
And
it was, but I was also because I don't have your address, Bob.
No, that's fine. But I think that's awesome, though. Like, we can all do that.
Yeah, and I took those and I passed along as to give away to our listeners
which is what I wanted you to do with them. I said, hey, if somebody could use these, it'd be cool.
Yeah. In fact, Steve Rogers, if you're listening, won a Mark Waid autographed Captain America comic book that you had sent to me. I passed it along.
We pay it forward.
We do.
So I love that. I love that concept, right? Because that was a great story about the kid. We should all that's an amazing thing. And I love you for doing that. It's something we can
But it
all do.
cost me nothing.
Well, that's right. Right. I mean,
And
we
it
all
was
have
just
doubles.
such a cool, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to finish off where that kind of started before we went there was the idea that, me from the 80s to the 40s, for now to somebody that's going into a shop new, that kid now, if you think about what he was 40 years ago, comic books, it would be that 80s, 90s time frame.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Yeah.
the whole reason I cut you off from that before was because I didn't want to really think about that, James.
Sorry.
That we're as close to the 1980s as when we were kids, as close to the 1940s. Thanks for bringing that up. That made all of us
You're welcome.
feel so much better.
And it also kind of gives you the idea how long comics have been around too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I just want to put it out there. Just putting out there to the universe. I don't own any golden age Captain America comic books. I'm just, and James now just showing off his, Bob's showing off his.
Just saying you're not in the club.
Yeah, I am totally not in the club.
America 25.
He's in a different club. So
I'm in a club by myself.
Original art's over there.
Yeah. To the left side.
Right. Oh, I've had too much of this room already.
Well, speaking of which, I could use a refresher. I don't know if you guys need a refresher. Everybody can go get the refresher, or the two of you can just talk about me and I'll edit it out later.
Or I can just talk about Naples.
Yeah, there you go.
So I got a kick out of, I don't, if hopefully he does edit this out because it's completely off the topic.
Oh, he will.
But my friend of mine that was a pastor at my last church in Suffolk is the pastor at a church down there in Naples where you're at.
Really?
And I got a kick out of the fact that he had it posted, I think about a month or so ago, where he was going to the crew and doing a tour. Yeah, he was going with the tour group for the church. And I was like, I know somebody there.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a small world.
Yeah, that is.
He's a Marine, former. Well, there's no such thing as a former Marine. He was a sergeant in the 90s, I believe. Him and his wife both met in the Marine Corps. He's got his doctorate now. He pastors at First Congregational in Naples. But they had the Marine Iwo display that y'all have in front of the church for Memorial Day this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'll be darned. That's pretty awesome. I'll have to look them up. Yeah, that's great.
Chris Herber, if you get the chance, but it's just such a small world.
It is. And Naples is pretty small. So
I've heard that. I haven't been down there. I've never made it that far down. I've had family in Fort Lauderdale, but I think you're on the opposite coast. So
yeah, this is definitely straight across from Fort Lauderdale. So
I've been in Port Everglades, God knows how many times.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
They do submarines down there every year for Fleet Week, and then we've pulled in there for different other stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know Rick, Rick always asked me like, oh, what were you doing in the, the 90s? And I was like, I wasn't anywhere near a comic book shop. I know you were, like on a submarine,
Well, I joined in 94.
Yeah.
And I've got in there if we want to talk about it later as a comment. But I joined in 94. I made the big deal with my mother to make sure that my comic books never got destroyed because you've always heard all those stories.
Right.
And then later on being able to get them and then what happened after that. But it has its moments, but it was its own adventure.
Oh yeah.
And for a while I would buy books and get a stack and mail them home and then buy books, get a stack, mail them home.
That's funny. Yeah. I saw that in your notes. I think it was only about probably maybe 6 years ago that I finally went home and packed up all my old ones and
really
shipped them back. Yeah. So
when I got married the first time, it was a point to get all of them.
Yeah.
And that was part of the deal. Like I got married, I grabbed all her stuff, and then I brought my comic books.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it until I had a kid. And then I thought, oh, he might be really into this. I should start collecting again, get back into it, get some stuff for him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not the least bit interested. Maybe he will be someday, but
I've never stopped. I've had little, if I've been underway and I've had to make arrangements to be able to get books and have them hold for a while. but I've never had a time where I've stopped collecting
Hmm.
at some point. Stopped reading, yes. I never can find
Yeah.
time to read them anymore, but I've got stacks and stacks and stacks of them to get to.
Isn't it a horrible feeling? I have so many stacks of comics. Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things. I made a decision a few years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I actually stopped collecting after collecting something for like 30 some years, 40 years.
I'm close.
I have my personal collection, Batman from 400, which I think was around 1987, 86.
Detective or Batman?
Batman 400.
Okay.
I had Batman 400 to like up to 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I was so far behind reading it. And so I'm one of those people who likes to like wait for a story arc to be over.
Yep.
And then I'll just read a story arc. So for instance, I have no idea what's going on with the whole Captain America Cold War story going on right now.
Nothing.
I have all the way up to Cold War, and then I'm going to wait for it to end, and then I'm going to just read it all, in one shot. So I did that with Batman, and I read like 3 years of Batman in a row, and it was like during the whole Tom King run, which had Selena Kyle and all that kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, good stuff, but I was like, I'm reading the same thing over and over again. Like there's nothing truly new of what's going on. And I was like, I end up selling my Batman collection from like Batman 400 to 2 years ago, which was the very end of the Tom King run, whatever that was.
Okay. Yep.
I sold the whole thing to somebody. And then same thing with Justice League. I was like,
man,
I had from the JLI #1, which was DeMatteis, Giffen, Kevin McGuire. From that,
you're talking about JL then.
JL
it was just
JLI?
Justice League. It started Justice League.
Okay, you're right.
And then they
like
then
issue
they
5 or something, right?
Something like that. They went JLI because then they started JL Europe.
Right.
And then it became JL America. Either way.
Yeah.
And then JL Europe became JLI. But either way.
Yeah. So I had that. So what's that? 86, 87?
Yes.
1986, right? To up until a couple years ago. And
that was right after Legends.
And I was just like, I'm like 4 years behind in reading Justice League. Like, why am I doing this? I'm doing this out of habit. Right. And I just decided no. And I actually I think I still have the series. I haven't sold it yet. Or maybe I did. I don't remember. But I do have a stack of Justice League that I was like, I'm not selling these because I haven't read them yet. And it was the series after New 52 or whatever. Anyway, I'm
sure.
Once again going on a tangent, but we're talking about comics. It's all good. So I have really seriously cut down on my personal collection. I have the Cap. I don't see myself getting rid of that.
Right.
I have the Daredevil. I don't see myself getting rid of that. And then I did keep the first 60 issues of Justice League. The whole DeMatteis Giffen era. Like, I love that era. I'm like, that's mine. I have so many of them autographed by McGuire and Adam Hughes and all that kind of stuff. So like,
but you say you don't keep up with them, so you probably may not know they even gave them back a retro to go play with them again.
Well, I did. Yeah, they had the formerly known as Justice League.
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
That was it.
And that was in like Justice League Classified or something like that. That
was
like
its own miniseries.
Well, no. They started it in Justice League Classified, like somewhere around, I don't know. It was a story arc. It was one of those things where different creators came in and did different story arcs, and they actually brought back McGuire and DeMatteis and Giffen, and they did that, and then that, I believe, went and became its own miniseries, which was like formerly known as Justice League, right? And then, but yeah. So I did read all of those, and I certainly enjoyed them. I love that stuff.
So I jumped on them and bought them, but I still haven't read them. They're in the piles somewhere. And
wow.
I've had a moment where talking to the comic book shop, and we were looking at, just me and my wife talking about our budget and how much we're spending on collectibles and stuff, because we've gotten it where we've been blessed with a whole lot more income than we used to have, but it still like the bills are still the same, and we're not making any more, trying to figure that out. And it's because we're able to go buy more toys than we used to.
Right.
And we don't even recognize how much we're spending at places like the comic book shop and things like that. So I've tried to pare back some.
I just want to hear you say that again.
I know.
I want to hear you, because I think that's awesome, man, that you and your wife are both into collecting.
Oh, absolutely.
That's cool, man.
Totally.
So, and that's something you mentioned it before with taking your kids and stuff to the shop. I mean, my daughter collects Harley Quinn. That's her title, but that's, it's the one that she's into, but that's the only one. But that's fine. My son has his own collection, and he's got probably 5 or 6 titles he gets every month. My wife has her own collection, and she has multiple titles that she collects every month. Obviously, she jumps on Wonder Woman, but she has plenty of other stuff that she's into and buys as she sees them. She's actually more in independence than I am. I stick with the big two.
I'd like
for the
to
most
jump on
part.
Wonder Woman.
I can imagine that, Bob. I can see that. Yep.
So did your wife collect before you got married, or?
She had bought a few comics. She didn't
Was
have a whole
wasn't it
collection.
manga or something like that?
Are you getting tired of me turning around and pulling stuff out yet?
Not at
No,
all.
no.
Well, that looks cool. Whatever it is that Turkish or something?
That's Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon.
That was her title.
All right.
See,
then
yeah,
she
I
was-
remember that. You said that before when you were on here.
She collected
See,
Sailor Moon.
I pay attention, James.
Thanks, Bob. Or thanks, Rick. Wow. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pay for that one.
We'll edit that out.
That'd be good. But this is the San Diego Comic-Con edition for
Okay.
Sailor Moon. It's probably the 3rd most expensive comic in our collection, and we didn't know that until we were playing around. And
I like how you
playing
just
with it.
flippantly just throw it around. That's great.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, I collect them because I love them. I do not collect them because I think I'm going to sell them and get anything out of them. That's something that the shop can't stand when I talk about that. But she was into Sailor Moon, and that was something we were able to get. So we found that one in like a dollar bin or something, but it's a pretty exclusive Comic-Con
Wow.
edition. And we didn't even recognize that it was expensive until we ran the report that told you what the different books were worth. So
Yeah.
that one's in the couple $100 range.
When my wife and I were dating, before we were married,
That's how it works, Bob. We get
yeah.
that.
Okay. Well, I didn't
most
know
countries.
if that was unique to me, but she had this book called If. And it was like a book of 100 questions to ask your potential spouse. Did any of you have to suffer through that? I had.
No, actually sounds interesting.
Yeah, she had like
Would
several
be
of
unique.
these, and so I had to like sit through. She'd be like, like asking all these hypothetical questions, right, in order to gauge your potential spouse, like raising kids, financial matters, all kinds of stuff, right? Not a single one of them involved comic books. And I think that's a serious oversight that I'm just now beginning
Not
to
even collectibles
Not
or
even collectibles,
hobbies.
right?
Hobbies. Did it talk about
Yeah,
hobbies?
nothing in there even touched on that. So, but I think it's awesome that this is something that you share with your wife, and it's something you share with your kids. That's really cool, man.
Can I
Thanks.
ask you a question, James?
Yes, sir.
If you had a podcast about a hobby that you loved, would your spouse listen to it?
Since I have to make her listen to these when I'm on them, probably not. So I get in the car and I'll be driving and I put the podcast on whenever you release it so that she can hear the one I'm talking about. I would go with probably not.
I download them all and I save them. And I tell my son all the time that when I'm dead, he'll enjoy the sound of my voice.
Yep.
Does he?
Well, at least
Did he leave you? I don't
No,
know.
he doesn't believe me yet. No.
you guys do these, and these are amazing. My mother does the Facebook things where it's the 1 minute snippets,
Uh-huh.
but they only last the day.
Oh, right. Yeah. The stories, right?
The
Yeah.
stories or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
hate those
okay.
things.
Hey, could you? But it would be so amazing if I could save some of them, because that'll eventually come to pass. And my mom,
Yeah.
it's what it makes her happy, and she sits there and she does her Bible devotional on them, or she'll
Aw.
talk about what flowers she's done today, and it's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'm going to miss them when they're no longer going to be
someday
there.
you'd want to have those. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I get a little tickle when I hear about people our age talking about their mom on Facebook. And I know I said this in a recent episode, but I gotta say it anyway. Tom Papa has this awesome bit about this was back when MySpace was still around,
Mhm.
and he would have, my mom's talking to me. She's like, "So, are you on my face? Your father's on my face." No, mom. No, everybody's on my face. No, mom, I think you got that wrong. It tickles me. It makes me laugh every time.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So James, you were we've talked about this before. You had a long career in the US Navy.
I did 20 years.
Yeah. Most of it underwater. Is that true?
All of my time was dedicated to some type of submarine force service.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going into submarines when I first enlisted. So except for boot camp, everything else is considered submarine service, because boot camp and then sub school, and then from then on.
So I've been told.
Sometime.
Thank you for your service, James.
That salt water
Thank you.
is not good for comic books,
This is very true.
particularly submerging comics in salt water. So
Yeah, that's why we keep the seawater out of the people tank.
yeah. So how did you manage to deal
The
with the
people
whole
tank.
comic collecting? How'd you deal with comic collecting while serving your country? You're in the submarine force.
Thank you. It has its interesting concepts. So for the longest time going in, my initial training in those first few years, obviously I couldn't keep a lot at the barracks and things. You only had so much space that you could keep that was yours. You had one locker, usually your rack, stuff like that. So I would buy books as I got the opportunity, and then over time I would send a stack home. When I had left, when I first signed up, and when I left home, I had a conversation with my mother. My parents were never huge fans of me collecting comics.
Uh-huh.
I've made that comment a couple of times where they always thought it was kind of a waste of time. But my mom always did think that the fact that I wasted all my money on those floppy books kept me out of drugs or alcohol or anything like that. 'cause
The
I never
Devil's
had any
Brew,
money.
right? Yeah.
There you go. Never had any
Yeah.
money for that.
Yeah.
Because if I got $1, it went to a comic book.
Amen,
So
brother.
mom let me have an area in the house. We had a cedar chest of drawers, and she just put the comic books in there. And then as I would go somewhere and as I'd get a stack, I'd mail them home. It was a way to keep up with them. I would get so many together. I would go underway. I'd take a stack with me, have some reading stuff for underway. That was one way to keep up with the reading. I as Rick had said earlier, just kind of keeping up with completing storylines if I could, things like that. And then once I got married the first time, I brought all of them with me to Connecticut, and we were going to keep them in the house and hold on to them. That marriage didn't last long. Sometimes the ones in the military don't. So
sometimes, often.
So the first one I tried it out, didn't work so well. It lasted 6 months. So I sent her back home and
6 months out of the barracks.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
My chief's wife actually worked for housing, so it was, hey, you need to move back into the barracks because you can't stay in housing when you're single. And I'm like, I'm not single. I'm separated. Right. So you need to move back in the barracks. So that was a problem. I didn't know what to do with this at this point. I had probably 10 or 12 long boxes of comics. Moved into the barracks, talked to the building manager, talked to the guys in the room, and they're like, keep them out of sight, out of the way, and we don't care. At that point, I was an E5 in the military. I had a little bit of time under my belt.
Yeah, you got a little bit of sway there.
Not much, but
not much, but a little bit. Yeah,
right. And I'm in the Geo bachelors, so it was 3 E5s in a room together, kind of thing. But we weren't there that often. Kind of a place just to keep our stuff. So I had stacked all the boxes at the end of the bunk bed that we had, somewhat precariously. I kept them there for quite a few years. Once I'd moved out, ran into one of my high school buddies, and we actually got a place together out in town. I actually turned all the comic book boxes into furniture.
Nice.
If Rick wants me to, I can put that as a picture later on.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, totally.
That's a real lady trap.
Oh, you have no idea. Covered with Scooby-Doo sheets. Stacks of comic book boxes as a TV stand. Stacks of comic book boxes as a computer desk.
That's a step up from the milk crate furniture. Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody wants a very, very similar version of this story, just check out episode 25 when I had asked the same question to James, and Bob completely forgot. So anyway, we talked about your cedar chest of drawers. Oh yeah, totally.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I just want to let you know I pay attention.
We're just trying to get through the show here, Rick. It's we have a whole bunch of new listeners now who are not going to go back.
Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
2021s.
In that, I met Amy while I stayed in that apartment, that area, and after that, we got together, and she's always put my comic books in a spot. So you guys have the base.
You got a nice room there.
So I have one of the bedrooms in the upstairs. I know both of y'all, I believe, are in the basement. Is where your wives have given y'all.
I sometimes have to go in the other bedroom. Oh wait, we're talking about
where your
comics. Oh, never know. Okay, yeah.
So my wife took the basement as her craft room, and she gave me the bedroom next to our bedroom as my comic book room.
Nice. Is this
which is where you're now, right?
Yeah.
Right. It is.
Yeah, because it is completely a comic book room.
No. Oh, so speaking of no idea.
So speaking of which, Bob had said, what did you say, Bob? Something about having the ladies, seeing your
the furniture made out of long boxes and short boxes.
Yeah. Nothing like a turn on. Yeah. So speaking of
work for me.
Well, some of us only have short boxes.
They got pills for that.
So anyway, I had in my comic book store, I bought this really, really cool Captain America shield, and it was made out of metal, hand painted, had leather straps on the other side, authentic, and then it actually hung on the top of a wooden crate of shield, and it had like old 1940 some like print on there, Operation Super Soldier, and so it looked like it was like a wooden, like the wooden planks, that are nailed together on top of a wooden crate, and you popped it off, and that was the backing board, and then you took the Captain America shield and you hung it on this. It was really, really cool. They only made so many of them, and it was very expensive piece, and I had it in my store and it didn't sell. So when I sold the store, it happened to come with me when I left.
Yep.
Okay, because it wasn't part of the deal, let's just say. Right. So I have this really cool Captain America shield and display. Where am I going to put this? And I'm renting this house in New Jersey, and it had 3 bedrooms because it was me and my son and my daughter, and I was going through a divorce at the time. and I needed a place to stay. So I rented this house in New Jersey, and there was 2 levels, right? The bedrooms were upstairs, and there was a bathroom, and then downstairs was the other rooms. And so I didn't know where to hang this, but it was really cool. So where did I hang it? In my bedroom, of course, right? So I put it on the wall in the bedroom. My theory was, if a woman was coming over my house and saw it, it was already too late because she was in my bedroom. Right? Like if I had it downstairs in the living room
So
or the
your
dining room,
litmus test.
you know what I
is
mean?
a
Like
cat-
she may have been scared off. She may have been like, oh no, this guy's complete, like whatever, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if we somehow made it to the bedroom and,
Yeah,
and
if
it
she's
was
not scared off by then, yeah, she's not getting
Exactly.
scared off, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's good. You know, I got to think though, honestly, I don't know what year that was, Rick, because, you know, I guess maybe until First Avenger came out, right prior to that, like most women may not have even recognized the Captain America shield on the wall.
So they'd be like, what the hell is this guy?
Well, he's patriotic.
Yeah.
Or he's a LARPer.
Is that his Irish insignia?
Right.
Like, you know, crest, family crest? Like, what the
Right.
hell is
Yeah.
that?
You know, so you could just play it off. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the year before First Avenger came out.
Did you ever get called out on it? Not
No.
to tell tales out of the bedroom, but I just wondered if you ever got like, oh, what's that? And for folks who can't see me, I'm pointing up when I say, what's that?
Yes, I kept the shield over the bed, Bob.
Are we going sledding? Yeah. That's
We may have learned more about y'all this episode than any other one before.
Is that life size? Now here's the funny part. Because listen, I'm not the tallest guy in the world. We all know that, right? So
Yep.
I had this employee in my comic book store who was very tall. He was like, I don't know, 6'2" or something like that, right? He was a big guy. I would pick up the shield. I looked like a kid holding life-size Captain America shield. He would take the shield and hold it. And I was like, that's what it's supposed to look like. I am never going to hold this shield again.
This goes on the wall.
Totally. Yeah.
James, what's on the horizon for you, man? I mean,
wow.
I know
James. Hey, he just gave you the ending, the
no, I'm
interview
just
question.
curious. I'm just curious.
That's what I got. Yeah, that's
No,
what
I'm
I heard.
curious.
But either way,
Like you've got some books here, some books there. You got to finish. You know, I'm
dude,
not.
How can fans get a hold of you, James? No. Screw that. No, we are not ending this episode.
No,
we have
it's
not
not
gotten to some of the good questions yet.
It's not an ending. I'm just curious what's on James' horizon for the things that are you gonna once you knock out these series you're working on? I mean, what's of interest to you? Like Golden Age?
We like to
original
play
art?
the what if game, James. If you never became a Captain America fan, what if?
well, this year I'm going to finish Tales of Suspense. If I have to buy it from eBay, I'm finishing Tales of Suspense this year. That's my goal for 2023.
Wow, whole comic. Good for you, James.
You know what I mean. Just it's time to be done with that. I've got one Golden Age book. I've got some original art.
That's one more than me. Just saying, putting it out there.
I've gotten pretty involved at the comic shop that I work at or hang out in here. To the point they've started letting me do they're doing whatnot sales, and I'm getting to be one of the hosts for that.
Oh, that's cool.
Kick out of that. Yep. We've done all of one show, but we're seeing what happens with that. Probably just it's still just picking up books and seeing what interests me and what I get into, what excites me, if you will. The collection's never complete. I'm a completist. I am not a perfectionist. I'm not one of those guys that wants 9/8 of everything.
I hear you, man. Amen, brother.
Once I get the book, I'm happy with it. If I find a prettier one for next to nothing, then I'll put it in the trade box as the beat up copy, I guess. But for the most part, As long as I've got one, I'm happy with it.
I'm
So,
the
yeah,
same way. Rob, are you the same way?
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not a grade fanatic or anything like that. I'm also not a completionist. So there's certain things that I want, certain things that I'm looking for. If I see other things that pop up, in the dollar bin, and those rare occasions when I get to see a dollar bin, I'll grab them. But yeah, I'm not going to go out of my way to like bump up my grade of what I got or something like that. As long as I got it, I'm happy.
Same way.
Yeah.
And are you James, are you a variant cover kind of guy? Okay, he's just give a big sigh.
Sorry. So the shop actually gets me books based on artists for cover artists.
Mm-hmm.
So some of my pull list is anything that has art germ, anything that has DNA, anything that has Scotty Young.
I'm sorry, art germ? What is that?
Stanley, right?
Stan Lee art germ.
Art germ? I've never heard of art germ. What the...
If I can, hopefully
you'll remember. Once you see, you will know.
Can you see those?
Yeah.
So those are all art germ covers. He's a artist that, for the most part, just does Marvel and DC covers. Usually of very attractive women.
Usually,
okay.
Some maybe he's done onesie twosies of like Human Torch, Carnage, some of the others. I got Doctor Doom over there, stuff like that. But for the most part, he's a well known for doing. He did a Mystique cover this year, whereas the sun's going across her. She's going from blue to human.
Oh, nice.
That was a really great one.
When he did Doctor Doom, said, he's in a brassiere. So,
I was going to say, because he said he's very well known for, and then there's this Mystique cover. Like he didn't finish the sentence.
I was trying to think of a nice way to say really hot babes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Which then would have led me to be perfect for Doctor Doom, but Bob beat me to his joke.
Yeah. Got it.
Right.
I don't think he's done a Cap cover.
No,
the ones over there are Mary Jane and Black Cat and Spider Woman are the ones I was showing you. And then I've got a Jean Grey, but I've probably got a half a long box of just his covers.
What does your wife think of this?
So she's okay with that. The agreement is I don't buy.
You could have seen the look on James's face.
There was a pause.
There was a ever so slight pause. Yeah.
I won't buy the cosplay covers. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, they're a little more realistic.
They're women dressed up in costumes, and they take a picture of them and put them on a variant cover.
Okay. All right. So that's fine. She's like, as long as it's in fantasy land, not realistic land. All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
But we get variant covers based on what we like. The shop is
what
really
does she
great
like? Does she have any guys that cheesecake?
Harry Cavill's her guy, but for comic book character guys, not so much.
Who doesn't like Harry Cavill?
Is it Henry Cavill, right?
Henry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Henry? I don't know.
His little brother Harry's pretty good too.
The guy that plays Superman.
Right. Yeah, that guy.
Or The Witcher.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. She watched every episode of that.
What was that spy movie he was in with the guy with the alien guy from the Alien Prometheus movie?
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah, and the girl who played Lara Croft in the new versions of Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
What's his 1 degree of separation from Captain America?
I don't know. What is it?
He started in the Tudors along with the actress that kissed Captain America in First Avenger.
You're right. Doggone it. I love that. That was a great show.
It was a very good show.
I didn't put those together. I forgot that he was in that. Have you seen those, Rick?
No.
The Tudors? Good. A lot of skin in that show, Rick. A lot of skin.
Phenomenal 4 seasons.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I got all the DVDs when I was living in Vietnam. We used to watch those. So. You can pause.
All right, another question for James.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're on tangent left right here.
All right, James. favorite podcast episode, and you can't name something that you were in.
My favorite two are, I wrote them down. Episode 9. Well, you said I'm in it. Never mind. Either way. Episode 9 with the
top 10 villains.
Top 10 villains not named Red Skull.
Yes.
I do get a shout out
I
in
still
there.
regret the fact that we didn't wait one more episode to be episode 10 for the top 10 villains. I'm so disappointed in myself.
You say that often enough that I know it's number 9 because of that.
Yeah. All right.
But,
what was it about that episode that you enjoyed?
So one, it was really the first episode that you had the call-ins and you had the different people from the Facebook group put in their 2 cents or their comments and things.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the opportunity. And again, I apologize that I was Madam Hydra's mind.
Oh, by the way, can I tell you a little something about talking about artists and all that? So I have a commission in with Art Adams.
Oh,
now Art Adams draws a pretty lady as well.
Yes, he does. I have quite a few of his covers.
Yes. And so I'm having a commission done. It's a 9x12. And as a Captain America fan, I was like, I am totally not wasting Art Adams on a Captain America. I am doing a Madam Hydra Viper with Art Adams. Was that a good choice?
I would have gone with Diamondback, but that's my girl.
Okay. All
But
right. All right. But not bad with the Viper.
No, Viper's way up on that list. She's definitely a good choice.
Okay. All right. So sorry.
Yeah, that's but that one, and then the episode you did with you talking to the guys from the comic book shop, it had the feel kind of this one that I wanted of just kind of a breeze talking, just being able to sit and listen like you're hanging out at the comic book shop.
I think about that show a lot.
Oh, you got to do one with you and your friends some point.
I don't have any friends, Rick.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
James.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
James.
I find that hard.
They're mostly in the witness protection program,
and they all live in Canada. So
Yeah,
so it was, but I really loved that show. Rick. Not only did I get to learn more about my dear co-hosts,
your work wife,
right, my work wife, but it was just a lot of fun and just a great group of guys and sitting around the water cooler talking about comics and the good old days. And it was just, I think about that show a lot and how much fun it was.
And that's you're right, James. That's like the impetus behind these nightcap series is hopefully to continue that same feeling of just some friends sitting around the comic shop talking about comics.
So, I mean, so some of those fond memories when I was on my first shore duty, the comic book shop that was in New London, it was Sarge's Comics. It's changed owners now, so I don't even know who's there now. But I got to volunteer and hang out there for a while and work at the shop and do stuff like that and be able to do the like Friday night, we lock the doors and now we're going to rearrange or clean up and have those same type of conversations and stuff. It just really brought back memories. Is that kind of a touch?
You got a little bonus points because you did pick out an episode that involved me. So it's kind of how it works here for future members of the Nightcap series. If you mention an episode that involves me or the reason you loved it was because of me, then by all means you get bonus points.
So as those points come into play, will that give me a better role when we finally do the
absolutely
read the story?
All right, let's do a little audition right now. And what James is talking about, back when we had we were doing the last Mark Grunwald story, right? And we had Jason Olsen was on as a guest, and we were basically covering issue Captain America 443 from 1995. And we had Jason Olsen, and then we had a friend of the show, one of the comic shop guys from the episode you mentioned, John Waller Sewell. He came on and he did the voice of Batroc and which kind of annoyed me because I just love doing batroc. But anyway,
You're supposed to be our Steve Rogers.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
So anyway, so I was doing Steve Rogers, he was doing Batroc, and the reaction from the show was like, that was a lot of fun. We should totally do an episode where we have like a community theater, right? And there's we have somebody from the group who's volunteered. He's actually in theater, and he was like, I want to be involved to help, arrange it and direct it, and I and we do. We need to do auditions. So that point, James, we're gonna do a little audition with you right now.
Diamondback, go.
But Steve, you've got to be able to take me along with you. I know I can help.
Now
My
the
eyes were closed, Rick, and I
We,
felt like I was in the scene.
I thought that was from cringing, but okay. The funny thing is, it sounded miraculously like young James asking his mom to take him to go get a comic. I couldn't really.
Testicles have a full girl's voice. What you want?
There's different purpose. There's different uses of Jiffy.
Some of us aren't gifted with like 17 voices. Rick.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
What voice would you like me to say?
Just saying.
All right. So, all right.
Yes, sir.
If you could pick a voice besides Man on the Corner, who would it be?
Oh, I mean, it depends on which issue you use, things like that. I can
don't
imagine
know.
D-Man.
Did you say He-Man? Are you Masters of the Universe? What the hell?
D-Man?
Oh, D-Man.
Dennis Murphy?
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
It's got to be better
Interesting.
than mine. My D-Man when I was doing those was just so bad.
I can't be mean enough for Jeff.
I think I went with a voice like this.
I could
was
be,
bad.
yeah. And I don't think I can be mean enough for Jack Monroe or anything. But again, it depends on what time frame.
Yeah.
Ash has got to be Bucky. I don't know how we're going to pull it off, but she's got to have that role.
Interesting.
That's true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going with Doughboy, so that's me.
Oh, there you go.
Whatever.
That's all 6 issues in the series so that you can pick from.
Who would I
Quality.
be? Who would I
Quality over
be?
Quantity.
You said Steve Rogers. It's your show. You get to pick who you're going to be. That's what I thought you wanted.
I mean, I think that's what people
I like
hear
when he
my
does
voice a
Bernie,
lot.
so that's just me though.
You want Bernie?
Oh,
Oh.
Bob. Hold on.
Only close my eyes.
Hold on, Bob. I got to go back. What was it? Gosh, it was. Give me a second here. It was episode 120 when we did Cap 285, which was the Porcupine Jeff Mason from 1983.
Yeah.
All right, here's my Bernie quote from that episode, just for you,
yeah,
Bob.
I'm gonna
Ready?
close my eyes.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I want you.
All right, I got to mute my camera for a second. Hold on a second.
Just put it on Lou, Bob. You'll be all right.
Oh goodness.
Well, James, it has been a ton of fun wrapping Cap with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for being a super soldier patron for all this time, for 2 years. Wow. And also being, active member of the Facebook group and being on there. It's really always fun. It's a lot of fun just catching up with you and chatting with you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And thank y'all for everything y'all do. I don't think we tell y'all enough how much we appreciate both the Facebook group and then the weekly, the podcast, being able to just a little bit of sunshine on the way to work on Wednesdays. It always makes my day.
That's why we do it, right? It's for times like this where we can just get together as fellow Cap fans and share some laughs and some good times.
Yes, sir.
Can I get a hug? Honestly, that's been a lot of fun, James. And your story is our story, is everyone's story. We're all a little bit different, but I I never get tired of hearing the stories of like when people first get into collecting comics, especially when they're kids, and the adventures that the hunt is for them at the time, and how that stays with them throughout their lives. And it's great that you're trying to pass that on, not only to your own kids, but to other kids out there, trying to get them involved in comics, because, you know, we need them. We need young readers to follow in our footsteps and keep moving the industry forward. So thanks for everything you do. And I can't wait till the next time you're on the show.
Thanks.
Yeah. He said he wants to do 5. We haven't even talked about number 4 yet. So
we'll come up with something. Maybe you'll do Secret Empire next year and I can get involved in one of those.
There you go.
Oh boy. Yeah. That we do have to do something for that long tail at some point. All right. So but we forgot to mention about we did tease. We were going to talk about upcoming guests, right?
Yeah.
So next episode, we are not having a guest on the show, but next episode, which is episode 142, we are going to cover the 3-issue Prestige miniseries from 1992, Punisher, Captain America, Blood and Glory. So that is a fun early 90s story. Okay.
Because Punisher, that just says fun.
It does, doesn't it? It really does.
Especially the early 1990s Punisher. That's what fun is.
You are going to have to really work up for your special effects stuff. You know, all of those. Right?
I don't know what that was.
Yeah. I know. I thought he was having a stroke. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Bob recognizing and telling us a story about every single different gun Punisher has.
There you go. That should be interesting.
Thank you for listening, James. I feel like Steve Rogers. I got that reference.
Yeah.
But the writer of that story, Blood and Glory, is none other than J.G. Chichester, and he will be the guest on the following episode 143. So we are really looking forward to having him on the show. So make sure you come back next episode for Blood and Glory, and then the following episode for J.G. Chichester.
Well, that's awesome, Rick. I'm excited about that because I love when we get off the beaten path and we look at some of those, miniseries, the one shots, the quirky, strange things that people have never heard of, or at least most people have never heard of, and give us such an opportunity to introduce them to some cap stories that maybe something strange and different.
Yeah. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. So for James Foley, Bob Lucius, I'm Rick Verbanis, and you have been listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.